You see, this week is a week we call the Holy Week, right? We are celebrating a historical event. And this historical event is the resurrection of Jesus. So that particular week, today, Jesus would have been with the disciples in the upper room. And you know, I was reading about that, about the upper room, when Jesus was with his disciples. I found something very interesting there. It says that now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, that he should not depart out of the world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them to the end. So Jesus is in the upper room now. He's with his disciples. And the Bible says that Jesus knew that the time for him to depart out of this world was come. So it was sort of like a farewell get together. And we hear that Jesus loved his disciples to the end. Easter is a time to reflect on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's what Easter is all about. When we get to Easter, we're acknowledging that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. You see, one has to ask this question: what does the resurrection of Jesus Christ mean for me? God himself doesn't need to rise from the dead. And I said earlier that Jesus Christ is God incarnate. What it really means is that God became a man. God took flesh, blood, and bones, and he came down as a man. That's who Jesus is. If you ever wonder who Jesus really is, Jesus is God manifested in the flesh. If you ever wondered who Jesus really is, like I was saying to my guy over there, if I want to know about you, I don't go over there to ask about you, I come to you. Jesus himself said, I am the Son of God. Jesus said, I am the Son of the living God. And he said, to prove it, I will die, and on the third day, I will rise from the dead. He said, I will die on the cross. The religious leaders will, they will torture me. They will kill me. They will nail me to the cross. But on the third day, I will rise again. That's what Jesus said. You You see, you're not the only person who has problems with religious leaders. I also have problems with religious leaders. Jesus had problems with religion. I'm not here about religion. This is not religion. Religion is when you try to do certain things to please a God. But in Christianity, you're putting your faith in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Christianity is founded on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You couldn't give God anything. There's absolutely anything anyone can do to please God. You know why? Because every single one of us were born in sin. Every single one of us were born from Adam. You might have an African surname like myself, but your surname really is Adam because you're a son of Adam. You might have an English surname, but your surname really is Adam because you are born of Adam. You might have an Asian surname, but your surname really is Adam because you are born of Adam. Everybody comes from Adam. When God said to Adam, "In the day you shall eat of this tree, you shall surely die," you were in Adam when God said that. When God said, "Adam, don't eat the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because from the day you eat of it, you will surely die," you were in Adam. When Adam died spiritually, every single one of us died spiritually. That's why Jesus came. That's why Jesus came to die on that cross, to pay the price for the sin of Adam. And again, I repeat myself, you were in Adam. I was in Adam. That's why Jesus came. Jesus came to pay for the price of the sins of mankind. That's why Jesus came. Everything that Jesus went through, he didn't need to go through that, but he went through it for you. Every single thing that Jesus went through was for you. God made man in his image, after his likeness. You were made in the image of God. God is love. That's why you yearn for love. God is light. That's why you're uncomfortable in the dark. God is life. That's why you do everything to preserve your life. God is holy. That's why you have that conscience telling you the difference between right and wrong. When you do something wrong, your conscience tells you you're doing wrong because you were made in the image of God. That's how it works. So man was made in the image of God. Man decided to join Satan in rebelling against the love of God, and by rebelling against the love of God, sin came in, and by sin came death. By sin came death. That's why people die. If you ever wondered why people die because of the sin of Adam. That's why people die. It's because of the sin of Adam. Adam decided to rebel against the love of God. He decided to rebel against the love of God, and by doing so, sin infected Adam. And every single one of us were in Adam. That's why people die. It doesn't matter where you're from. You are a son of Adam. If you're a human being, if you belong to the human race, you were born of Adam. You go. I hear you. If you're a human, if you belong to the human race, you're a child of Adam. You come from Adam. So, you see, all of us, right, we're affected by this thing called sin. All of us, right, we're infected by this thing called sin. Why would a loving God create a man, put him on earth, only to withdraw that love from that man, only to take away that love from that man. Why would a God who's light create a man, put him on earth, and plunge him into darkness? Why would a God create a man, put him on earth, and take away that life from that man? That's not consistent with the nature and the character of God. The reason why you were created and made so you could reflect who God is. That's the meaning of life. If you've ever wondered what the meaning of life really is, the meaning of life is you were created to reflect the nature and the character of God. That's the meaning of life. That's why God put you on this earth. If you ever doubted in your mind, or if you ever wondered, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? The purpose of life, the meaning of life, is that you were created to reflect who God is. You were never meant for depression. You were never meant for low self-esteem. You were never meant for stress. You were never created for anxiety. You were never meant for violence. You were never meant for evil. You were made, I'll come to that. I'll answer your question, sir. You were made to reflect the righteousness of God. So God made you, and God put man in the Garden of Eden, right? When God put man in the Garden of Eden, as difficult as that might be to believe, trust me, there were no family problems. Everyone was happy. It was one good, happy family in the Garden of Eden. There was no depression, there was no stress, there was no gossiping, there was no backbiting, there was no bloodshed, there was no violence, there was no evil. But at the same time, there was a character called Satan. Satan did not take kindly to God creating a man after his image, after his likeness. The position that God gave you, Satan hated that and hates that. So Satan found himself slithering into the Garden of Eden as a snake, as a serpent. And he deceived Eve. And Eve ate of the fruit that God had said, you can eat every fruit every fruit in the Garden of Eden, you may freely eat. You see, everything was free. Everything was free. Food was free. Accommodation was free. Protection was free. Everything was free in the Garden of Eden. So God said you may freely eat of any of the trees in the garden, but the one of the knowledge of good and evil, the day you shall eat of it, you will surely die. Adam and Eve fell for the lies of the devil. Adam and Eve decided to believe a lie, and by believing that lie, sin came into Adam and Eve. You were in Adam and Eve when that happened. I was in Adam and Eve when that happened. That's why the world is different today. That's why the world is messed up today. Is because of that event in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve should have stood their ground against the lies of the devil, against the lies of Satan. But by falling for the lies of Satan, they removed themselves from the love of God. By removing themselves from the love of God, spiritual death came. By removing themselves from
doesn't help, man. You know the way I learned Jesus, yeah? You know the stone. When you got put behind the stone, you come back alive. This is what I learned. This is the way I learned in primary school. You got put behind the cave or behind the stone, and you pull the stones out and you put yourself up the cross. Is that the same one that you're going on about? What the same page?
No, we're not on the same page.
Right, so why have I learned that and you've not learned that? Or why have I learned that in primary school?
What was it that you learned?
It's in primary school, teachers who taught me this.
So the teacher told you that.
Yeah,
What about the Bible? Have you read the Bible?
no,
I think you need to read the Bible.
well, it's different.
It says absolutely something different. How can you take yourself from the cross when you are nailed to the cross?
That's what I'm saying, that's what I've been
They lied to you.
That's what I've said, the light to me. That's what I've said about
Get a Bible. Get a Bible. Read it. You'll find a difference. You see like how the world is right now. The world is so messed up. It was never meant to be like this. People were never meant to be hating on each other. There was never meant to be depression, stress, suicide, all of this. It was never meant for that. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow.